Think the narcissist will treat new supply better? Think again.
The narcissist has a new partner. Too bad we know how this horror story ends.
I still can't wrap my head around how quickly my partner moved on to a new supply after our relationship ended. One day I thought we were happy and in love, the next I was discarded like yesterday's trash as he pursued a new source of attention. The ease with which he replaced me is so devastating. I've been an emotional wreck. Meanwhile, he's posting constantly about how head over heels in love he is already with someone he just met. He's showing off lavish dates, trips, gifts, everything he never did for me despite my constant begging. I'm destroyed seeing him act like the perfect doting partner to a near stranger when I spent years cramping myself to that role in hopes of getting scraps of basic decency. He swore I was his soulmate, then disposed of me like an old broken toy once he found a shinier new model. This new woman instantly gets showered with the affection and romance I crave desperately. He's doing all the things with her I waited for in vain for years. It's unbearable watching the man I thought I'd marry fawn over his new girlfriend after years of ignoring and criticizing me. I keep analysing where I went wrong and what's so special about this new supply. She must be more attractive, interesting and compatible. Why couldn't I inspire that dream guy affection in him, but she can so instantly... What's so wrong with me that he can replace me at the drop of a hat? I feel like such a fool for working so hard to earn his love and trust when he could detach from me and our life together so effortlessly. Meanwhile, I'm still shattered months later, endlessly ruminating over the relationship wreckage. He's off enjoying a new fairy tale romance while I pick up the pieces. It's clear gaining his love was hopeless from the start. He's incapable of truly valuing anyone. But that logic doesn't lessen the blows when I see this new woman showing off non-stop couples bliss with the man I thought I knew. I keep torturing myself watching their social media, analysing all the ways she's superior. Of course, his posts don't show the devalued agony she'll eventually suffer too when his mask slips. I know firsthand the hell that awaits once his toxic manipulation begins. But right now, she's enjoying the honeymoon phase fantasy while I'm discarded trash. Seeing him swept up playing perfect boyfriend with someone new so quickly makes me feel worthless. I must have never inspired real love in him. Maybe no one ever truly can. He simply uses people transactionally for ego strokes and to act out his false self. Still, my heart is shattered knowing he could replace me at the snap of her fingers. I clearly never impacted him like his presence did me. I was simply an interchangeable supply source, but she gets to be the magical new soulmate, at least for now. Witnessing him immediately idealize another woman so intensely feels like the ultimate betrayal. With me, once the initial infatuation wore off, his indifference and criticisms slowly escalated till he grew disgusted with me. But this stranger walks into praise and adoration for simply existing. I don't understand how his feelings could vanish then reappear so easily. He lacks any empathy for the trauma this inflicts on me. In his eyes, I am nothing. Just a used-up, undesirable supply source to discard for the latest model. Meanwhile, I'm left destroyed, my self-worth decimated. I believed his words of eternal love and devotion, ignoring all the red flags. Now every flaw he pointed out seems true as he gives his all to someone new. Maybe I'm just too sensitive, but I at least thought our relationship meant something for a time. Even if we ultimately weren't right for each other, I believed memories of real love existed. But his callous detachment proves he felt nothing. I was just a placeholder till he found better. The injustice of it all burns me up inside. I sacrificed so much only to be replaced without a second thought. He gets to just skip off into the sunset with a younger, shinier new supply. She'll soak up all the effort and affection I deserved but never got. I know logically that her eventual devaluation is inevitable too. His false self requires constant external validation sources to keep up his charade. The more I understand about narcissism, the more I know she's just heading for the same heartbreak once his toxicity is inevitably unleashed on her. But it doesn't lessen the pain now of seeing her praised as his perfect soulmate and new reason for being while I struggle to patch together my shattered soul. I don't know how to accept what our relationship clearly never was real love. My denial runs deep. Do I confront her with the truth about his lies and future manipulation? I want so badly to warn her before she wastes years invested in this illusion like I did. But I also don't want to seem like the jealous, crazy ex who can't let go. I know she'd likely ignore me or tell him about it. He'd undoubtedly retaliate by destroying me to her as the problem, maybe even with threats or smears to others. I know sending evidence or reaching out is probably pointless, even dangerous. But it's unbearable knowing she's falling into his trap, thinking she's found her dream man when it's all just a mirage. At what point do I just accept that others will believe his charming lies? That those who know the real him like I do are outliers, while most get seduced by his magnetic false self? Exposing him would just backfire and undermine my credibility, keeping me trapped ruminating over this instead of healing. But letting go and allowing his fakery to continue feels like an injustice too. Don't potential targets deserve to know the wolf hiding under that sheep's clothing? I wish so badly I could spare this poor woman and others after her from the trauma and despair that awaits once his mask finally falls off. But deep down, I know everyone must make their own journey. Those determined to see only his false persona despite glaring red flags are probably trauma-bonded quickly through love bombing. All I can do is gently plant seeds of truth and hope some take root eventually. I have to find a way to make peace with his abuse and lies likely continuing without ever facing consequences or karma. Closure through justice being served is probably unrealistic. Instead, I need to find healing by focusing inward, not obsessed with his relationships or calling out his fakery. Easier said than done, but clearly ruminating over their blissful charade is keeping me trapped, constantly comparing myself to his new supply. I know obsession breeds only bitterness and keeps me emotionally enmeshed, validating him. The healthiest thing is letting go, allowing this frivolous new relationship to just float by downstream like a fallen leaf. My energy is better spent rebuilding my life, nurturing myself and cherishing those who truly love me. With time, emotional distance will come, freeing me further from his darkness. I know the devaluation, cheating, and likely abuse she'll experience is inevitable, despite how perfectly he's portraying himself currently. But none of that is my responsibility or journey now. We each must walk our own path of truth and growth. I hope when that day comes, she will have the self-worth to recognize the toxicity for what it is, rather than descending into self-blame like I once did. I hope somehow the seeds I've tried to subtly sow soft warnings about his duplicity may water that strength in her. But those outcomes are beyond my control. Dwelling on them keeps me trapped in obsession about a false persona. Each day is an opportunity to shift focus back to my inner light. For that radiance flows from within, not the halls of justice or validation so longed for. While I still have much healing ahead, I know rescue rises on the wings of self-love, not frantic flailing focused outward. Forgiveness must come for him, for past naive parts of myself, if freedom's sun is ever to dawn. Living well with head high will be sweet justice indeed.
It's understandable to feel shaken, seeing your former partner move on so quickly and intensely with new supply after the relationship ended. You likely experienced powerful feelings of grief, loss, insecurity, and injustice. It's an agonizing scenario for anyone to work through emotionally. Knowing the relationship likely meant something very different to him can seem like a betrayal of the highest order when you invested so much. But his lack of empathy and swift detachment are symptoms of his disorder, not reflections of your worth or lovability. In truth, this reveals the deficiency of his character, not yours. Still, witnessing someone who once doted on you now fawning over a stranger is devastating. It's natural to endlessly analyze yourself in comparison to his new supply, trying to make sense of why you were so easily disposed of while she gets idealized. This brutal tendency for narcissists to flip between devaluation and idealization leaves their former partner's self-esteem decimated. Please remember, despite how perfectly he's portraying himself, the devaluation phase will come for her eventually too. His false charade requires constant new supply to keep validating his fragile ego. You did not cause his inability to attach or empathize authentically. None of his issues, nor his superficial new relationships, diminish your worthiness. But despite knowing this mentally, releasing painful emotions fused over years takes tremendous time and gentle inner work. Grief this profound cannot be rushed, only embraced with care as part of a larger healing journey. Be compassionate if you aren't yet ready to let go or trust again after being so callously discarded. You experienced real trauma. Sending love or warnings to his new supply, while understandable, rarely provides the inner peace so sought. For closure seldom comes through fruitless fixation outward, but only by turning within. Try to release this scenario from grip, giving it permission to float downstream like leaves on a winding river. Focusing inward on your own growth and joy draws in light, dissolving the darkness still clutching on. Each small act of inner nurturing builds your resilience and self-trust anew. With time, acceptance comes as we learn we alone control our capacity for contentment. For now, be ever gentle with yourself and limits. There is no single breakthrough moment that suddenly mends it all. Emotional freedom develops slowly but surely when we commit to mindfully rebuilding roots in our own self-worth each new day. Then our spirits grow blooming again, boldly branching into skies no shadow can ever reach. Join us in spreading awareness about narcissistic abuse. If you have any specific questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to share them in the comments or email us. We value your input and will include your suggestions in our next video. Subscribe to Empower Survivors, and together, let's make a difference. Share this video to protect others and promote healing. Stay tuned for more informative videos to deepen your understanding and support our cause.